Hello, everybody. This is the first in a series of videos that were inspired by conversations I had with one of my granddaughters. Uh, it's basically going to be uh, the memories I have over the 3/4 of a century of life that I've experienced. Uh, and first in a series of my memory as a preschooler and kindergarten. And I hope that you would pass it on uh, to your kids and their kids so that they would know who I was. Now, my very first memory actually is a short one. It's me as a toddler jumping at a light bulb uh, on a bed. Is a bare light bulb hanging from the ceiling on a thick electrical cord, uh, and one of my mom and one of her friends came into the room, and her friend remarked to my mom, "Oh, look, he's so cute." And so I heard that word cute, and I didn't know what it meant. But I went through a card index in my head, and I saw a Christmas tree. So they sound about the same. So I associated that word with Christmas at that particular point. Now, we during that time that I was a preschooler, we moved uh, over to the Cochran Apartments in Pruitt-Igoe. And so my older brothers were helping to move the linoleum and put it in the storage and everything. They let me go down to the storage area with them. And lo and behold, there was a tricycle there. And so I got on it and started riding it. And one of my brothers took me off and said, "Hey, that ain't for you. That belongs to somebody else." So apparently, I was the only kid in the projects that couldn't afford a tricycle. Uh, Now, my, much to my chagrin, my mom wouldn't let me stay up very late, very often, even though I didn't have school the next day. But one particular time that she did, it was during, uh, it was to watch the election results of Eisenhower versus Stevenson the second time. And when the results were finalized, uh, Eisenhower had won re-election again, I believe by a landslide. I'm not sure. And my mom looked over at me and said, "Oh well, Ike ain't so bad." And she turned off the TV, a little disappointed, but it wasn't earth-shattering the way it is nowadays when somebody of the other party wins. She just shrugged her shoulders and turned off the TV and sent me to bed. So that's that was that. Now, we didn't have central heat very often. And one of the things I remember is having Crayola races with my older brothers. You take a piece on the back of a space heater. You take a piece of Crayola and sling it against the space heater and watch it slide down and leave a trail like a slug, except it's a colorful trail. I can also remember playing in the vacant lot over on Destrehan behind the tavern, and we were perfectly safe there um, because it was a different time and a different era. One of my fondest memories was sitting on Uncle Woody's lap. He was my Aunt Ruthie's husband. You know, he was a giant of a man, and he had a very soft baritone voice, and he would extract information from me, uh, and it just tickled him to chat with me. I'd explain to him that a dime is more valuable than a nickel, even though that the dime is much smaller than the nickel, and he acts surprised and amazed at that information. He was a wonderful, wonderful man, and I miss him a lot. On one occasion, I was riding my tricycle. Eventually, I guess I got a tricycle. Or somebody lent me a tricycle. In any event, I was riding around in circles and managed to pull a cabinet down on me and Uncle, the aforementioned Uncle Woody. And I think he prevented the cabinet from falling on me. Now, I didn't learn how to draw, and I didn't learn how to fold paper as a preschooler. So I would go to school and make circular scribbles on my manila paper and wad it up into a paper ball, and whenever I'd come home from school, I'd throw the paper ball to my mom and exclaim, "Flying turtles." Yeah, so I draw Picasso-like flying turtles every day until one day I noticed that the kid next to me was drawing stuff that actually looked like stuff. And so it dawned on me that I should try to do that, even though I was better at flying turtles than I ever was at drawing anything. One day when I did go to school, my brother Paul showed me and Kenny the way to school a couple of times. And then first time we tried to come home by ourselves, we got lost, really lost. And I think this was in one of the Ames schools, the old Ames school, I believe. And so we flagged down a police officer, and he put us in the back seat and started making ever-widening circles from the school until we saw something that looked familiar, and then we said, "There it is, that's our house." And so he let us out, and that was the end of it. No child protective services, no no calling out my mom for allowing such a thing to happen. Now, is it jump forward just a couple of years, maybe? Well, either in kindergarten or in first grade, I had to get glasses, much the same as Madeline did. It's usually the teacher that notices that you need glasses. So, must have been first grade when I was trying to read. And so I ended up getting glasses around this first grade. And I remember one time some teacher from a different class stopped me in the hallway. I guess I was coming back from recess or lunch. She grabbed my chin, pointed my face up to her, and corrected my glasses. I imagine it happens to every kid that wears glasses to school at one point or another. A teacher finds it annoying that your glasses are sliding down your nose. It's about that time that my dad would send me down to the street, to the tavern with his beer bucket to buy a bucket of beer. Well, I made the trip and brought him back the beer. And he drank it rather quickly because he sent me again. And I went back the second time and brought him back another bucket of beer. Now, if you're wondering what a bucket of beer is, it ain't like an ice house where you put 5 or 6 bottles of beer in a bucket of ice. It was like a 20-ounce bucket. It was made famous by the Hank Williams song, "My bucket's got a hole in it and I can't buy no beer." So when I went back the third time, the bartender was fearing losing his license. And so he said, "Tell your dad he needs to come here and get the beer himself." And so I did. And that's the last time I had to make the trip for Dad. I was trying to get rid of a call that was coming in. So. But that looks like I've completed what I wanted to say for the first iteration, anyway, of my memories. These are preschool and first and second grade. And I hope you found some amusement to it. And we'll see you the next time.